Okay, the first test of our Bronco Sport is going to be this tiny little stump right here. This is going to test the ground clearance of the Bronco Sport. So will it clear? That's the question. Well, there's only one way to find out, and I'll tell you what, I'm not going to measure it. We're going to go over it, and if it doesn't hit, it clears. All right, here we are at Uwharrie National Forest, the legendary Uwharrie OHV trails, and we got our 2021 Bronco Sport, and we're gonna put this thing through its paces. Let me just tell you, we're not gonna be easy on this thing. It is gonna be a really good test of what it is capable of in completely stock form. This test is going to include a lot of articulation. There's gonna be some spots where it's gonna lose traction and see if that rear diff actually does its thing. As you know, the Badlands edition comes with this really trick rear differential that I can't wait to test it out. We're also going to be doing a comparison between this and our 1998 Ford Explorer. That cost $500. It's got a cheap set of used tires on it. It is the quintessential budget build, but it is extremely capable when it comes to off-road. This trail system has a lot of moderate to very difficult trails. In fact, this trail right here, where it says not advised, I don't know if you can see that, but it is extremely rugged, and you have to have some pretty serious off-road machinery to get through that, and the Explorer does it, no problem. There's no way this car is going to do it, even after we modify it, but we're going to just see what it can do, and then we're going to come back to this very spot with a lift and some tires and see how much better, if at all, the Bronco Sport is. Here we go. All right, we're going up a really steep, slippery spot right here. And this is gonna put a real test on the Bronco's traction capabilities. So I've got it in rock crawl goat mode, and here we are coming up to a really, really steep section. I'm gonna give it a little throttle. Oh my God, it's climbing right up it. That was nothing. That was so easy. This thing is awesome. No problem. We're already in a pretty precarious spot with the Bronco. This is a little downhill section right here, and it's really tight. And I'm afraid the Bronco's gonna come out of this with a little bit of body damage. I'm hoping not too much, because I don't wanna pay to get this thing fixed already. But as you can see, there's really no way to steer away from this because it's so slippery. So I've just gotta kind of be careful and come down little by little and see if we can't get through this little obstacle. Yeah, the Bronco sits really low. So I'm gonna listen real carefully. Ooh, yeah, you couldn't hear it that time, but it's dragging over all these little humps. Some of these have like a sharp point on the top, and there's just no way to get around it. Ah, yeah, that hit pretty hard. Ooh, yeah, the Bronco needs more clearance for sure. You know, I've been up under this thing and I've looked at what's under there, and there's nothing really to get damaged other than just the exhaust. So I'm not too worried about, you know, damage underneath, but it's obviously hitting, which isn't good. So I think we need to, every time, I think we need to get a lift on this thing. I mean, it's just, there's no other way. I just don't want to keep beating this thing up. So, yeah. All right, day 2 here at Uwharrie. We are doing some more testing with the Bronco just to see what it'll do. So far, so good. We were out last night wheeling this thing in the dark, and it was raining. And if you guys know anything about Carolina clay, it is like ice. And there's no way to pick your line when it's really slick. So the car inevitably just falls down into whatever ruts are there. So it's tough if you have no clearance because you can't ride the high side of the berms. You have to ride in the ruts. So I dragged the bottom of this thing a lot last night, and it did sustain a little bit of damage. Hopefully it's still under warranty. I caught something, and I don't know, I guess that part wasn't really necessary. But I was just gonna point out a couple of little things that I kind of don't like about this thing already. One of them, if you look at this lift gate right here, I parked this on, I flexed out the suspension a little bit. Look at this. That's called chassis flex. So you got a gap here, and then there's no gap over here. So basically the chassis is flexing so much that the lift gate won't close if it's flexed out. So that's definitely an issue for me. You know, I have a 1991 Honda Civic station wagon that also does that, but that car's also 30 years old. So you wouldn't think a 2021 would have that issue, but the Bronco definitely isn't as stiff as I was hoping it would be as far as chassis rigidity.
I want to get him out of that hole. He's good. He can straighten up.
All right, so far, I cannot express to you how impressed I am with this little thing. Unbelievable capability. There's some stuff that we just drove through in that little stock Bronco that I'll bet you some Jeeps have trouble with. Look at this terrain. We just drove through all of this, and if you can't get a perspective from the camera, check this out. That's serious terrain. Bronco did it no problem. Completely stock.
All right, go ahead.
All right, I guess we're gonna wrap it up here at Uwharrie. The Bronco did way, way better than I expected. You know, honestly, for a stock vehicle and it being on basically street tires, I really wasn't expecting that much from it. But it has these gizmos that make it way better than you'd expect. The locking rear diff, the locking center diff, made this thing more or less unstoppable out on the trails. Coming up on places where we have two wheels in the air, normal car, you've got no traction, those wheels just spin fruitlessly. But in this, it applies the brake to the wheel that's spinning and the rear diff locks up and it pushes right through. So this thing absolutely dominated in completely stock form. So only a couple little battle scars. We got a little tree right there, and then there was some stuff underneath that we tore off, but I guess it wasn't necessary, so that's all good. But I can't wait to see this thing with a lift and some big tires. I think it's gonna be even better. But that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.